Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode. On this podcast, we explore topics that are of interest for professionals at the intersection of public health and entrepreneurship. My name is Dr. Charlotte Huntley, and I'm thrilled that you've decided to join me on this episode. I am a public health entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in healthcare and in public health, and I've also been a podcaster since 2017. I am very excited to tell you about an upcoming workshop that my team and I, have put together just for you. So, are you ready to make your side hustle your full-time gig? Now, attention, all consultants and entrepreneurs who are juggling a full-time job alongside your business dreams. If this is your goal to one day leave your current job and work for yourself full-time, or if the path to making this decision or transition seems unclear or impossible, you're not alone. I've been there, and a lot of us have been there, but have successfully made the leap. Over the years, I've guided countless professionals like you become full-time entrepreneurs, and now it's your turn. We are preparing a 5-day game-changing workshop for you. And I am very excited about this. We're going to help you explore your options and develop a personalized strategy to achieve this entrepreneurial milestone. Don't miss this opportunity to transform your side hustle into your main hustle. Now, here's how you can secure your spot. If you are already receiving podcast emails from us, if we send you an email announcing the new podcast episodes, perfect. Keep an eye on your inbox because you'll receive priority registration details. Another way you can do this is another way that you can reserve your spot is by clicking on the link that's in the episode description for registration details. So if you are listening to this podcast in one of the apps, look in the description for this episode and you'll find a link for the workshop registration. Your entrepreneurial future is waiting. So let's make it happen together. On today's podcast episode, I'd like to share some top networking tips with you that will help you prepare for your next conference. Now, be sure to listen to the episode right before this one, episode 53, where I covered why you should be setting networking goals for your next conference. I kind of set the stage for this series that's coming up. On today's episode, I'd like to talk to you about networking strategies that and the things that you should be doing before the conference. So let's dive into this. A lot of people are really ready to get to the conference, and we're busy getting ready, preparing, making arrangements, doing all the things, but we miss out on the opportunity to do a lot of networking before we actually get to the conference. So one thing that I'd like for you to do is research attendees, speakers, and organizations. Find out who's going to be there. Remember that your specific networking goals, like back in episode 53, I encourage you to kind of set the platform or the framework for why you should be setting the goals, but you'll need to decide what those goals are for you. So just remember your specific networking goals. For example, what number of connections are you looking to make, and what type of individuals or organizations are you targeting? So keep that in mind as you research the attendees and the speakers and organizations that will be there, so that you're making decisions about who to connect with and what organizations to go and engage with based on what your networking goals are. Okay. So keep that in mind as I go through the rest of the strategies that I will share with you. So the next thing I would like to share with you is to prepare and practice your elevator pitch. So in our group mastermind program, we do this often. And I love seeing how people open up and become really comfortable with being able to introduce themselves, their businesses, who they support or serve, and the problem they solve. So this is something that you'll need to craft and you'll need to practice. And you need to practice in multiple situations and settings, because sometimes you have literally a few seconds on an elevator to be able to introduce yourself. Or sometimes you're in the transition between meetings and if people are genuinely interested, if you're sitting in a lounge having a snack or lunch and you're or at a round table after someone's spoken and you're waiting for the next speaker to take the stage and people are chatting, people naturally will ask the question, so what do you do? Or where do you work? And you have to be able to have a response ready for them. So prepare and practice your elevator pitch. Don't just prepare something without ever reading it out loud, actually practicing it with people. Try your friends and family for practice and make sure that you're comfortable with it and that what you typed out on that document or wrote out on that paper actually makes sense when you say it out loud. So that's what I mean by practicing. So that's important. You'll get a lot of opportunities at the conference to introduce yourself and you need to have that ready. Okay, so my third strategy or tip for you is to make sure that you update your online profiles. Now, I always gravitate to LinkedIn, but I know a lot of you use different platforms. My company, we also use multiple platforms, but our primary platform is LinkedIn. When I'm looking to connect with, new prospects or looking for new business, then I want people to be able to follow us and connect with us on LinkedIn. And I want to connect and build my network on LinkedIn. So when you're at a conference, you meet someone interesting, they're going to likely go to your LinkedIn pretty quickly and they're going to get to know who you are or, check you out there. And you want to make sure that the most up-to-date information is there. What you want them to know about you and your business and how you help and support, that needs to be front and center. They don't need to go trying to look hard for it or try to figure out what it is that you do. So make sure that you have updated your LinkedIn profiles. I will even add here that updating often is a good practice because often in our businesses from 6 months, think about the last 6 months. Are you doing something slightly different or the exact same as you did 6 months ago? What about going back a year? I'm sure things have changed. So our profiles need to be updated. Sometimes we're in a season of launching or promoting a particular activity. We want people to know that that this is relevant and top of mind. So you may want to update your profile to reflect that. So at any rate, make sure that before you go to the conference, your profile is updated. Okay, another strategy for you is to join the conference's social media groups or hashtags. Depending on the conference, they're likely going to have a hashtag for that conference. People that are looking to attend will often follow that hashtag or use that hashtag when they post. And sometimes a conference will have a special group for attendees. So find out what your conference social media, where they are, what platform they're on, and make sure that you're engaging or connecting and following the hashtag. It's a great way to know who's attending and to keep top of mind with just what's happening at the event and all the social events that happen around, the conference as well. Okay, another strategy for you is to prepare business cards or digital contact information. I'm going to go as far as to suggest both. We've had this discussion a lot in our mastermind group program. We've had this discussion actually multiple times at our in-person retreats as well as our mastermind meetings. And sometimes, depending on the conference and the type of attendees, people would prefer a physical card. And then other settings and people will prefer a digital card or digital contact. So we've kind of come to the consensus that it's a good idea to have both. And that's so that you're ready for the type of conference attendees in the rooms that you'll be in. And I'm going to leave it there because I could go on a tangent about that, but I won't. And I will go one step further to think about the user experience when you're deciding on which digital card to use. So just make sure that it's landing where you want, where people have some choice about where they want to save your information if you're using the digital. But prepare either your physical cards or digital cards or contact information or both. If you are very early and you're thinking, well, I don't have a website, I don't have information put on a card, you could very easily use your LinkedIn profile and you can get a QR code and take people to your LinkedIn profile. And the call to action or your request could be, well, connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active and I'd love to continue conversation. That's great. So that's just something you can do. You can even have a simple card or digital card, whether it's physical or digital, set up with your contact information that brings them or connects them to your LinkedIn profile. Okay, another strategy for you is to review the conference schedule and plan your agenda. This is important. And I giggle again because I cannot tell you how many times I feel pulled in so many different directions because these bigger conferences have so much, and it's hard. It's not really a matter of let's just pick the good stuff or the relevant stuff. You could have so much that's very relevant and very aligned with your goals, and they all overlap at the same time. You can have 4 or 5 opportunities at 11 o'clock that are perfectly aligned with your goals, and you have to make a decision. So planning ahead can be very helpful, and plan your breaks in there too. That's just another side note, because you can be all over the place at these really busy conferences and be drained, and that's not going to make you very much ready for networking and meeting people either. So review the conference schedule and plan your agenda. Try to do that ahead of time. Okay, one more strategy for you, and that is prepare relevant questions for speakers and potential contacts. This one is extremely helpful. Sometimes you can be in a conference room where there are maybe a panel of speakers, and at the end of the session, they hold space for questions, and you have the opportunity to step up to the microphone and ask a question in the room, which can amplify your networking effort. So your question, if you prepare your question in advance, you have a chance, you'll know the topic, you get familiar with the speaker, and prepare your question in advance. Even if you end up, like maybe you prepare your question in advance, and during the course of the speaker speaking, you decide to tweak your question a bit based on something that they've spoken, that's perfectly fine. But preparing some questions in advance can help you with a starting point. And often you'll be able to ask that question the way you've planned it. And while you're getting the feedback from the speaker, the other people in the room are also benefiting from hearing your question, and they may decide they want to connect with you based on the question that you raised. That happens a lot. So preparing your questions in advance for speakers or potential contacts, maybe that you're anticipating certain type of people that you want to connect with, and as you're networking, maybe for your next client. So maybe there's a relevant question that you want to be able to ask your potential, prospects, to help you get to know more about them and maybe even their pain points at the organization and so forth. All right. So these are some strategies that I think all of them are high value strategies to help you prepare before the conference. Depending upon how much time you have, and if you're listening to this and you think, well, my conference is next week, you can't do all of these. So pick and choose from the strategies what aligns with you the best, and make sure that you're focusing everything back to whatever your specific networking goals are for the conference. Now, in our next episode, I'm going to continue this series, and we're going to focus on networking strategies to have in place during the conference. So everything I've talked about in this episode is what you should be doing before the conference. And now I'm going to then, on the next episode, I'm going to share with you some strategies for during the conference. And again, I know a lot of you have probably never separated these out before, or maybe you tried, but maybe, like I said, if you're like me, had overly ambitious goals and you feel like, oh, I didn't do that right, it's okay. I just want to help you sort of divide these categories up so that you can make the most of the overall experience. So in addition to the workshop that's coming up that I talked about at the beginning of this episode, I would also like to remind you about our mastermind group program. And I mentioned a few times as I was sharing strategies with you, I love this program. It's a high value program. Our members love this program, and it is best suited for established public health entrepreneurs. So those of you that have already gotten started, you have a client or two, you're generating revenue. That at the very least would be a great, that's the place that we're looking for people coming in, or we find that they're best suited for our program and the other members that are in our program as adding to the community. We work together online and we gather together in person for a 2-day retreat. And we do this twice a year. And our entrepreneurs travel from all over the US and beyond to attend our retreats. They're really, really phenomenal. Enrollment is only open twice a year. in June and in December. And it's only open to people who have submitted an application. So if you'd like to know more about our mastermind group program, you can visit our website and submit an application to let us know that you're interested. Our website is publichealthentrepreneurs.com. You can also find the links to our mastermind group program and our upcoming workshop in the description for this episode as well. All right, everyone. Until next time, have a fantastic rest of your day.